or 92 Edward Street, Tiger Valley, Belleville, and let our friendly and knowledgeable staff help you find what you need.
Feeling a little under the weather? Come down to Casmate Pharmacy and let our family provide your family with all the essentials as the flu season reaches its peak. Fight those flu symptoms with our range of over-the-counter meds for all types of coughs and sore throats. Boost your immune system with our wide range of immune boosters such as Activo, Flugon, and Linctagon. Casmate is here for everyone. Our staff will assist you with all your health needs. Our contact number 021 745 6252. We are located in 192 Blue Downs Way, Tuscany Glen in East River. Casmate is a family providing for your family.
Butcher's Market offers the best quality, locally sourced and 100% halal meats. Visit our store at Sandbury Square Mall. Contact us at 021 565 0499 TPM for your halal meats.
Yes,
Our station, our talent, our people.
Welcome back. Good afternoon to all of you who are just tuning in with us. Labour Talks with me on a Wednesday afternoon. Thank you very much for tuning in to Radio East River, the fastest growing internet radio station in the Western Cape. Thank you for your support. Without your support, without you sharing it, we will not be growing in the rate that we are growing. So thank you very much for sharing this link to as many as you can. Tell your family, tell friends that have gone through unfair labor practices, unfair discriminations, unfair issues at the workplace, anything to do with unfairness at the workplace. Please tell them to tune in. They can drop us a voice note. They can drop us a WhatsApp message as well. Send us a query through. You can still send your queries also through to the CCMA directly, ctn@ccma.org.za. You can also go on the website of the CCMA. This platform on a Wednesday afternoon is a collaboration, and this relationship between the CCMA and the management of Radio East River is to bring the services closer to the people. So you can still go directly to our offices and come in with queries that you have. You want to lodge your complaint, or you can tune in and you can hear the advice, the guidance that we give at this platform to your situation that you may be facing, or even if you don't face the situation, friend or relative. And you know what? Many people don't realize how good the information is that we share until a point when they actually are in that position. You will never, at this moment, you might dismiss some of the information, you might dismiss the topics that we have and feel that it's not relevant to you at the moment. And yes, it's true, it might not be relevant to you, but at some point when you really deal with unfairnesses in the workplaces, then you will realize how relevant and informative these sessions has been on the radio. Mr. Jabbar, thank you very much for tuning in with us this afternoon. We want to acknowledge you as well. So thank you very much. Angie Hugh, all the way there from Woodlands, Mitchell's Plain. Thank you very much for tuning in, and all friends and family out in Worcester. Thank you very much for also tuning in there with Pastor James Davids and the congregation out there in Worcester. Thank you very much for tuning in with us. Robertson, thank you, and welcome to this afternoon's program, Labour Talks with me. I'm Commissioner Samuels. So we were talking about certain areas of what unfair labour practices. I was just sharing with you in terms of deductions. Aftrekkings, dat die werkgewer kan nie sommer net gelde van ons salarisse aftrek ten voor sy nie eers 'n prosedure gevolg het nie, en ons moes geteken het vir erkenning van skuld tot die werkgewer. Hulle kan nie sommer net aftrek nie. Daar's 'n kriteria wat die wet sê om ons te beskerm, dat werkgewers kan nie net aftrek soos hulle wil nie. Hulle moet 'n prosedure volg. Okay, so al wat ek wil vir ook thuis wil bring, that do you know that there are so many companies, closing down at the moment. So many retrenchments happening. And I just want to, for a couple of seconds, just deal with that. Remember, Section 189 of the Labor Relations Act talks about a procedure in terms of when my employer contemplates dismissing me for operational requirements. There are certain things my employer must do. My employer, Section 189(3) of the LRA says my employer must give me a written notice of the intention that they will dismiss me. The LRA is specific. The purpose of these notices is to invite me so that I can come up with meaningful alternatives to avoid the termination, to avoid the retrenchment. That's the whole key of us talking to each other. I must come up with a meaningful alternative. My employer must have gone through all the alternatives that they have looked at to avoid the retrenchment as well. And together we must now sit and meaningful discussions we must have here. It mustn't feel that the employer is just rubber stamping what he's already thinking he's going to do. He's already going to close down the business. There's nothing, and some of us feel that we don't want to say anything when we get to these meetings because it appears to us that it's a foregone conclusion that the employer is going to close the business. There's nothing I can do, nothing I can say. So what am I doing here at this meeting? And that is the emotions that we go through. It is still my right. Remember, you have the right to be heard. You have the right to come up. And the best people sometimes with brilliant minds. Remember, the employer have started some business and he's put in money and he's got people that invested in the business. But sometimes me and you as the employees, we have brilliant minds that can come up with something that the employer have never thought of, how we can keep the business afloat. And it's our opportunity to shine. Remember, you are the headlight, not the taillight. So shine to the front and not to the back. That's the idea. So you come up in these meetings, you come up to these consultation processes with positive energy to save the jobs. Earlier this year in January, there's a company in Kailicha that they were on the verge of retrenching 40 staff members. 40. Kid you not. 40. They were about to not close the business. There were just 40 people that they're going to retrench. They approached the CCMA. We had our first facilitation in my office, and when we discussed the matter, we literally assisted both parties. And I can tell you now, not a single job was lost during that process of consulting with one another, because together we came up with meaningful resolutions to save. Remember, it's not just one person or 40 people. It's 40 families who will be affected by a decision that somebody else made. So me and you have a role to play to save 40 families as their economic income, that they would sustain themselves for a while and be economically independent from anybody else. And it's good that we go through these processes. That's why there are laws to protect us. So still up till today, retrenchment is a big thing. That's why I want to highlight it again. We have to go to the meetings with positive energy, positive contributions. Yes, it might be a negative environment to be in where an employer contemplates to retrench me, to let me go, to close the business. But it doesn't mean I have to be negative. I can come up with my positivity and give meaningful inputs, alternatives. There might be layoff. There can be for a period. And such is this case, amazing outcome on the 17th of March where Aminto versus Mkokolo. Mkokolo worked for Aminto since a period of time. And he was a truck driver, heavy-duty driver, they say. He was a heavy-duty driver. And during the COVID-19, 2020, 2021, the whole world went into an economic recession and a standstill. The employer, Aminto, Precast and Civil Engineering, they started to embark on a 189 process, meaning they wanted to retrench people. But they went into the consultation, and instead of retrenching him, they came up with an alternative. What are we going to do? Let's lay him off, which they did. They laid off Mr. Mkokolo. They put him on a layoff, issued him a letter on the 12th of November 2021. issued him with a notice of a layoff. Issued him the notice. The employee was not happy. He was aggrieved. He then approached the CCMA and lodged a complaint for unfair labor practice because he feels that he has been suspended. Let me say this for the record. The word layoff does not appear in the Labor Relations Act. It's not in the LRA. The only place that I could find the word layoff in terms of labor law is actually in a main agreement, which is for the Building Industries Bargaining Council. There it states clearly in terms of layoff that if you are being laid off for a certain number of days, then the employer is forced by that agreement to go into a retrenchment process. That is the only place I could find the word layoff. But the LRA does not define layoff. What it does, it makes mention of suspension. So remember, it's got under unfair labor practice, section 186 of the LRA, it stipulates certain things. There is a ULP for a suspension, ULP for a warning that you've been received, demotion, promotion, training, benefits, terms of disclosure of information. There's all those things that's covered under ULP of the LRA. But the word layoff, and I'm sure most of us have heard that word, where an employer don't want to fire me, but they don't have work for me at that point of time. So they issue me with a notice of layoff. Now we need to change law. We need to bring it in somewhere. Because this is what happened. Mr. Kokolo was not happy with the manner that he was dealt with at the company. So he took the matter to the CCMA. The commissioner under ULP ruled in favor of the employee and said that the employer must reinstate him, the employee, with full back pay from the date that he was suspended. And what this commissioner did, he created under ULP the word a category for layoff. Now, the employer was not happy with that outcome, took it to the Labour Court, and on the 17th of March 2023, the judge issued this judgment where he says that in terms of the LRA, section 186, layoff is not defined. That's number one. It's not defined in the LRA, and we cannot create a category because what they looked at is what is suspension. Suspension can be precautionary, and it can be an outcome as a result of disciplinary action, corrective measurements that has happened with me. Remember when I've done something wrong, and my employer takes me through a hearing, but they don't want to fire me. They might come up and say, unpaid suspension, go sit at home for a month without pay, that's your punishment, and you come back. That could be one way of looking at suspension. The other way is precautionary, when they suspend me pending the outcome of the hearing while they're busy investigating certain matters. Then the employer can suspend me. So those are the two categories of when under which I'm suspended. But the commissioner ruled in favor of the employee under that category and said, lay off. You have been laid off. The employer have conducted itself in an unfair labor practice matter and reinstated the employee. So the Labor Court now have given us clarity. What I love about the judgment, the Labor Court gave us more direction on what is a layoff, what is now defined as specifically what is suspension, and make a clear distinction. A layoff in terms of that you are coming back to work. You are sent home not because of a precaution, not because of disciplinary action, but it's because it's justifiable reasons that the employer do not have work for me. That's the layoff. Beautiful. Please, if you have time, share me your thoughts. What do you think? Have you read this? Please go on the internet, go read it. One thing I want to mention as well, part of today's discussion. Let's take a music break. I'm going to ask Mr. William just to entertain you with some music before I touch on this issue that we're going to talk about pension, provident fund issues. Where do you go? What do you do? Okay, thank you.
Popcorn and some jujube and some bonbons.
Don't forget the new link for me. Hello, sister.
Yeah. love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes. When something without wanting love bears heavy on my mind. I look at you, and the world's alright with me. I just want to look at you, baby, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. It's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. It's gonna be a lovely day. Shabba-doo-ba-dee-dee-ow. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me, yeah, always seems to know the way. Oh, just wanna look at you, babe, and the world's alright with Walter. Oh, just wanna look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. It's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. It's gonna be a lovely day. Oh, yeah. A lovely day. It's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. I love you in the morning. I love you 'cause you're you. Anyone who tries to do anything to me, all I have to do is say love you. It's gonna be a lovely day. I love you.
Just think, the reason why I love you is I was in the county jail.
Yes, sir.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Welcome back, and it's definitely going to be a lovely day. After today's session, with the information that we share at this platform, I really trust that you will be enlightened, informed about what your rights are, so that you know what to do, where to go to, and how to approach the CCMA. And I can tell you now, the CCMA are not consultants. They are not representatives. The CCMA is a statutory organization, and we deal with all these unfairnesses to hear cases, to hear the employee's case, and to hear the employer's case, and to make decisions, what the reasonable decisions makers can do. We sit down with both parties in what we call processes. There's three processes. One is conciliation only, and that is the purpose of that is to see whether the parties can resolve the matters Conciliation is when two people are just sitting opposite to each other, the commissioner in the middle, and the commissioner direct the conciliation process. The purpose is for you not to bring your evidence, not to bring your witnesses, but literally to come with your shortened, minimized version of what transpired at the workplace. The commissioner will ask you, please share your story. You will share your story, what happened in the workplace, and then the commissioner will ask the employer to share to either agree or refute whatever the story was. If the two agree on certain things, the commissioner's role is then to sign a settlement agreement that will conclude the matter in conciliation. It's very off the record. It's it's without prejudice. It's a compulsory process for both parties to attend those processes, because it's also the commissioner might during the process send one of the parties out of the room and speak to the other. It's what they call reality testing with both parties. When the commissioner feel that there was leverages in either one's case to move and swing either party to get to the middle ground of a settlement agreement. That's the whole purpose, is to get there. So, and again, let me reiterate, you don't have to be a labor law specialist, an attorney, a legal person. You don't have to work in the HR department or have industrial psychology as a background to come and tell a story at the CCMA. All we want is for you to tell your story. And if you can tell it, let me reiterate, in the most plausible, credible, probable, reliable information that you share, I don't think a commissioner have no option but to believe your story if it's probable that your version is beyond what could have happened against that employer's version, for instance. Commissioner roles to get two parties to agree. You as the parties come up with what the conditions are. Commissioner only does the paperwork, let the two parties sign the document, and that's the end of your case. What happens if you don't finish your case? Then the commissioner issues a certificate, what they call a certificate of outcome, that says that the matter remains unresolved. From the moment you get that document, you've got 90 days to refer the matter to the next level, whether it's the labor court or whether it's for arbitration. You've got 90 days from that day to escalate your matter further, or not escalate, move on with your life. You could do that also. So most people have a choice and abandon their claim, abandon their dispute, and it's your right. It's your right to take it further. It's your right to abandon it, because at conciliation you will also feel there's nothing that's going to come out of this. You feel psychologically affected by it. You may have anxiety attacks by coming to the CCMA because you feel that the process is so legalistic that you do not know how to behave. But I can ease you now. I can confidently tell you, you don't have to panic when you come to the CCMA. Be at ease, drink some water, pause in between when you talk. You don't have to rush your story as well. And you are not forced, let me say this, you are not forced to sign any document at the CCMA to conclude your matter unless you feel confident your matter has now been resolved. I don't want you to sign a settlement agreement because somebody is forcing you to sign an agreement, but then afterwards you feel, if we speak to your family, your father, your mother, your brother, aunt, uncle, who may have some legal background, who may be a lawyer even, who may work in the HR department, might tell you later on, why did you sign the document? And there are so many people that still sign documents and then they claim that they were forced to sign. They didn't mean to sign it, that the employer forced them literally. Such was the case even last week. This employee is now submitting a complaint, listen to this, for constructive dismissal. But part of his submission is that he was forced to sign this resignation. Now, when you are claiming that you have been forced to sign a document, let me give you the heads up so that you know what is the commissioners looking at to determine, because now a ruling has to be made about the agreement that you may have signed at the company. Number one, did the employer put his hand on your hand and make you sign? That's number. In what way did the employer intimidate, victimize you to force you to sign the document? Did the employer put a gun on your head and force you to say, if you don't sign, we are going to blow your brains out, literally? Those are forceful things. Did the employer grab you by the neck? Did the employer grab you by the shoulders? In what way physically did the employer contribute to you making a claim that you were forced to sign an agreement? And let me say this, even at the CCMA, people signed those settlement agreements. And people were still unhappy after signing the agreements that they say the commissioner forced them to sign. That is why nowadays we get somebody else, another colleague. Once we conclude a matter, parties sign the agreement, we get one of the colleagues to confirm that neither party or either party was not forced in signing the agreement. Even on record, people will still claim that they were forced, that the commissioner forced them to sign. Nobody can force you to sign. If you sign the agreement, end of your matter. If your matter remains unresolved, you take the matter for arbitration or the labor court, whichever you need to take the matter to. Key, if you take it for arbitration now, arbitration is the more legalistic process, the formal process. At arbitration, be careful. This is now where you need to prepare yourself. This is where you gather your evidence, gather your witnesses. Make sure that those people that you're going to use will testify on your behalf. Because I had arbitrations where an employee brings witnesses that still works for the company, that's going to testify on their behalf against the company who they still work for. And guess what? 99%. Ask yourself, will my witnesses testify in my favor, or will they testify against me? Because out of fear, they may know the whole story and they may lie even, out of fear that they will lose their jobs as well. But at the end of the day, you have the right to bring your witnesses. You have the right to put your documents together. You have the right to be heard now. And arbitration is formal, legalistic. You bring your evidence with, your witnesses with, whatever evidence you believe you need to bring with. If there's an employee that needs to testify, a manager, subpoena him. You ask the CCMA for help to fill in the documents to subpoena a person to testify on your behalf. Thank you very much for all of you that's tuning in. We're going to take a short break, and then after that we will conclude the matter today.
Yes,
Our station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Ragi. Tidang Raki.
Welcome back. Please send us a WhatsApp message, a voice note on 064 536 9095. Drop us an email, ccma at radioeasterriver.org.za. Please drop us a voice note, drop us a message. Share with us your thoughts, share with us what you think, your comments, your inputs. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew Clark. Thank you very much for the messages on social media. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yes, I agree. The topics today are very on point. It's very reliable. It's credible as well. And that's the key. When you lodge your complaint and your intention is to take the matter as far as you can, your information that you share, whether you complete the document, has to be reliable and credible enough. Because remember, once you complete even the dispute referral, some employers may challenge you on the information that you submit. For instance, let me give you an example that how they are. If you say on the years of service, you only work at the company 5 years, but you only started there 2-3 years ago, employers will use that to show an indication of your characteristic, your behavior. If your salary, if you inflate your salary on these documents, whatever you say must be credible, reliable enough so that when you actually tell your story, it is probable to believe that your version is the correct version of the manner in which you were dealt with or handled with. So shares with on the social media. All your comments, all your inputs, we would love to hear from you. What is your experiences? What has been your experiences? If you've been to the CCMA and you want to share with all of us your experience, please drop us a voice note. Share with us on CCMA at radioeasterriver.co.za. We're coming to you live all the way from Radio Easterriver in Easterriver. It's a beautiful place out here. So please make a turn at this radio station and come and meet all these wonderful, amazing young people. We still had the CCMA yesterday. I dealt with a matter where employees still come because, can you believe it, that the employer is refusing either to complete documents so that they can claim their Provident Fund. If you have a complaint against the Provident Fund itself, that the money that they've paid out is little or that they're taking too long, that your pension fund, your Provident Fund is not being paid out in the manner that it has been paid out. Remember, there's an adjudicator, pension funds adjudicator, who sits in Pretoria. So you can go on the website, PFMA or PFA, Pension Fund Adjudicator, and there's a complaint form that you complete. You do not come to the CCMA. You don't go to the Department of Employment and Labour. Any issues with Provident Fund, Pension Fund must go to the adjudicators. So please go there. Make sure that you go on the website, submit a complaint form online even. I think there are processes, and submit it digitally to them so that they can deal with your matter as soon as possible, because you don't want further delays on your pension money or your Provident Fund money. If it's been now 3 months, 6 months, you've applied for the money, but it seems there's a hold-up, please direct your complaint to the appropriate forum. Do not come to the CCMA with pension disputes or Provident Fund disputes. Those are dealt with somewhere else. I'm helping you now so that you can go to the appropriate places without spending time in queues and money and energy, which we do not want to waste at our given ages, that we would love to direct our energy where we can do our complaint better. So go there. CCMA deals with unfair dismissals, unfair labor practices, unfair discrimination, sexual harassments. Bring that to the CCMA so that there can be a complaint form. It's been dealt with properly and it can be properly set down for you. So please do that. So we've dealt with the queries on the Provident Fund and Pension Fund. We've dealt with the queries of the retrenchment. With regards to the unfair labor practice, let me reiterate. Unfair labor practice have certain legs. So the one leg that or the one category of the unfair labor practice that we want to conclude today and stand still. And next week, I think we need to zoom in to one of the other categories of the unfair labor practice. Today, I want to stand still with a category of suspension. Is suspension, whether it's with pay, without pay, is it a form of a layoff? And what I like is the judgment is clear that suspension is not unfair labor practice for the purposes of that definition of Section 186. Suspension is a form of a disciplinary action, but layoff is something completely, totally different. And if you have a complaint, if your employer, especially during the COVID-19, a lot of companies that did not have work for the employees. Remember, it's not the employer that decided to put the country in a lockdown. And somehow it's the government, but we have to direct ourselves probably to COVID-19, the virus, put us all under lockdown, put us all out of work for a while, for a period. And it took some time with companies to recover and regain their economic strength to sustain themselves again after the post-COVID-19. Even now, companies are still suffering. That's why the motor industry has been hit hard with the after effects of the COVID-19, because some parts that were brought in and imported from China and those places are still being affected. The Ukraine war going on, it's still being affected. So there are many companies that are still not operating at full capacity. They cannot afford economically to operate on full capacity. So what they do, instead of retrenching employees, they laid them off for a period of time. The question that you're going to ask me, how long can my employer lay me off? What would be a reasonable time period for my employer to lay me off? Because remember, a layoff is when you are being told there is no work, go sit at home. It's no work, no pay that will apply. Sadly, that if it's no work, no pay, who supplements my income when I'm at home? And for how long should my employer put me on a layoff? What is that time period? At the moment, there is no law, as I said, in the LRA. It's not defined what a layoff is. And maybe share me your thoughts, share me your inputs. What do you think? What do you think? Maybe we should put it in there. Maybe we should not put it in the LRA. Maybe it's okay to have it just a suspension, because the part of the LRA in the ULP only deals with disciplinary action short of dismissal that my employer needs to deal with. So if it doesn't belong there, where do we put it in? I can tell you where we need to put it in. Maybe the BCA. You know, the BCA deals with leave. It's covered maybe with leave, and maybe we need to, because it's a part of, it's leave. Literally what layoff is, it's leave. It's unpaid leave, because there's no work. I'm not getting paid. So what is it? It's leave without payment. That's what layoff would be. That's my viewpoint. But share me your viewpoint. What do you think? It's leave without pay. We need to change it. We need to bring it in some way so that we are protected. There is laws that protect us. Yes, we have to apply for unemployment insurance fund if we are temporarily laid off. The question still is, how long must my employer lay me off? There is no law. Sadly, because it's not in the LRA, it's not in the BCA, it's not in the UI Act, it's nowhere else in those laws, in the labor laws. So if it's not there, it's me and you, it's our responsibility to put it to our constituencies, the people that we voted in power, and say, we need to change the law, because we don't know what other pandemics is going to hit us in the future, or what crisis, or what disaster management. What about Eskom has been declared a disaster management? What if my company suddenly decides that due to these long periods of load shedding, they cannot afford to have me at my workplace? It's a national disaster. Who pays me for the period that I have to go and sit at home? 4 hours, 6 hours while load shedding is happening. Who pays me for that period? At some point, you might get some employer that will say, no work, no pay. So for all those load shedding in between hours, I'm deducting that now from you. Maybe there are some employers that are doing it. Please share with me. If you work for a company that are already deducting or accumulating all these load shedding hours into full either leave days, unpaid hours now, share me your thoughts. Share me what you experience so that we can together attack the integrity of this dispute, of this complaint, so that we can get enough voices so that the matter can escalate to the powers that can change the laws, to our constituencies, our unions, that they can fight these battles for us, so that when we are being affected, that we are protected. Affected but protected. Like that. Wow, that's our theme for the day. Affected but protected. There we are. I'm not a preacher, but that would be. If I was a preacher right now, I would definitely preach the sermon called Affected but Protected. So maybe some pastor out there that would hear this Labor Law Talks this afternoon. There's your Sunday message theme or the year theme for you already. Affected but protected. Thank you very much for all of you that has tuned in today. Thank you for sharing the links to as many as what we can. Please send us your voice notes, send us messages, send us inputs so that next week we can then discuss your inputs, your concerns, your complaints, and share that with the rest of the world. I'm going to give over to Mr. William that will engage with you with some music while we take a break.
Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no. No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no. No, 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 no. Oh, I love the Lord, for He's so dear to me. And oh, He died that I might be free. I was asked this question years ago, and the answer is still no. Now the question is, will I do His will? And it's yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was at home late one night. Lord asked me, would I do His will? I told Him yes. Oh yeah. Oh yes. I'm presenting my body a living sacrifice, and all I'm gonna do is the will of Christ. I was asked this question, and the answer is yes. Question is, when will Jesus return? I want you to know soon, 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 yeah, soon. Look at the crisis in Iran. Russia's already invaded Afghanistan. It's falling insane. It's coming. Oh, yeah. Oh, but I can hardly wait for Jesus to return. For His returning, my heart does yearn. I was asked this question, and the answer is real soon. Now the questions are, will I ever leave you? Will I do your will? And when will Jesus return? No. And yes. And soon. Yeah. Soon. Yeah. Soon. Will I ever leave you? Will I do your will? When will Jesus return? And the answer, oh yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, soon, soon, soon. Oh, question when Christ has come? The answer is so.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Ragi.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Welcome back to all of you. And thank you very much for tuning in. Pastor Grant Adonis, all the way from Elsie's River. Thank you very much, Pastor, for tuning in and sharing the link to as many as you can on your social media platform. A very good friend over the years, Pastor Grant Adonis there from Elsie's River. Thank you for tuning in. We are talking Labour Talks with me and Mr. William here this afternoon at Radio Eerste River. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are talking about various issues of unfair labour practice. Unfair labour practice in the sense of suspension. We've dealt with that. We've also spoken to you about the case law that was the judgment that was just issued around a suspension versus a layoff. It's very important to understand if you have been, and we've seen it, the security sector, the cleaning sector, and maybe there are some other sectors that the building sector as well, many other sectors that I may not be aware of, that you are aware of. Share that with us, your experiences, what you have experienced in the last couple of weeks and months and years. What is the effect of COVID-19 on us? Many people that has been affected that did not have an income during this period of time, but they had to survive even. It's amazing. We've got amazing people out there that are survivors that even without that income, without that coming their way during this period, they have survived. So my applause is all to you. Let us ensure that these talks about labor law, the rights of employees, the rights where they can go to, the CCMA are this place to come to lodge your complaint. So from me, Mr. William here in the studio, thank you very much for tuning in. Next week, we're going to talk about a very interesting thing that we talked about, deductions of the BCA, and we talked about this leave that I just mentioned. In my viewpoint, I think that the leave should be covered, or the layoff should be covered under leave category, the BCA. It is a form of leave, unpaid leave, but maybe we should categorize it as a special disaster leave and should be paid, obviously to a certain degree, but I'm opening a debate and I hope that we can engage with one another. So thank you for tuning in with me this week. We hope to see you next week, same place, same time. Labour Talks with me next week, Wednesday afternoon. Thank you.
Yes, our station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Ragi.
I remember when he saved my life. Everything before that was just a blur. I was wild, living real foul. I just want right. I remember when he changed my name. From sick to heal, from broke to blessed. Now I can testify that I'll never be the same. My God is amazing. Simply amazing. He is amazing. That's why I believe. The truth is, I should be crazy. I thank God he saved me. I'm a living witness that God, yeah. That's why I believe. I'm unashamed to tell the world. God kept you in the midst of it all. That's why I believe. If you survive, I need you to lift your voice and say, I'm alive. I survived. I'm alive. What didn't kill me, it only made me stronger. You survived. are the one that I can lean on. And if you knew my past, you would swear I finished last. And I still don't understand why my God is so. First, giving honor to God, who's the head of my life. I want to thank you. If it had not been for you, I could have died last year, thinking about the last tears, thinking about the last time that I called on you, and you came through. I remember when. My God is amazing.
Our station, our talent,